crash. Now, 10-year-old, when you're, 1973 would have been, 70, 80 years later. So you're 10, you're 90. So you're 90 years old, you're telling a story, remembering when you were 10. Maybe you didn't see the cigar-shaped thing going over town with smoke. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But this is just one more piece of evidence of what really happened. Like Mary Evans, I totally believe, because she was 15 at the time, and she didn't say she saw it. Charlie Stevens, who was 10, says he saw it fly overhead. Maybe he did. I'm trying to give, credibility to perhaps that part is imagined. But it could very well be true. Then MUFON investigated the Aurora cemetery, and they uncovered a grave marker that appeared to show a flying saucer of some sort, as well as readings from its metal detector. MUFON asked for permission to exhume the site. Now remember, this is Texas in 1973. What do you think the Cemetery Association said? They said no. After the MUFON investigation, the marker mysteriously disappeared from the cemetery. So it is rumored the body is still buried there, but now nobody knows exactly where it is, supposedly under a tree or something, but that's not really helping. And you would also have to commit a pretty serious crime to try to sneak into the cemetery and exhume this body, because you'd be breaking multiple laws anyway. But then later MUFON was given permission to go back with their metal detector, not to exhume the body, but when they went back, their metal detector no longer showed readings from this particular area. So MUFON is presuming that the metal was removed from the grave, or the body was moved, exhumed, hidden, whatever. I'm not really sure. So you should do some research on this. It's a fascinating story. I know that I saw this story on the TV show UFO Files, and I'm sure I've heard about it on Ancient Aliens as well. But I encourage you to look around and try to find it. It's such a great story, and it got me really excited when I heard it. Also, the link to the newspaper article is on Facebook and Twitter. If you want to just click on it, it's either going to take you to the article, which is really cool because you can imagine what an 1897 cutout from a newspaper article looks like. It's pretty cool. But if it doesn't, it'll take you to the wiki page, and it'll be there. You click on it, and it'll enlarge, and you can read it yourself. So our live listeners are now gone, at least temporarily. I know I told you on Monday that I was going to do Mondays and Wednesdays, but I had a big company meeting on Wednesday that I had to go to, and so I posted in advance that the show would not be Wednesday night, that it would be Thursday night, and I'm going to continue to try to do it Mondays and Wednesdays going forward, and if I change because of my son's sports or something like that, I'll try to let you know in advance. But whenever I do it, it'll be available on Spreaker, Twitter, Facebook, and you can always listen to it, download it. By the way, speaking of which, I've been very pleased. I've had a ton of likes on Facebook. A bunch of people have written me. Some people have emailed me at my website, Andrew at alienmovement.org. People have written me on Facebook. They've sent me some interesting links, some requests, some suggestions. I've got my first sponsor on patreon.com, $1 a month, which I don't really care because it's just flattering that happened. And, anything I get from there, I'm going to use to improve the show. I've got some followers on Twitter. I don't really understand how Twitter works. The stories go by so fast that if you look away for 10 minutes and look back, my post is buried so deep down the page. But I do have a bunch of followers on Twitter, and I guess that I'll figure that out as we go. I'll be, in the future, I'll be talking about more stories. I know I've got so many things that I want to talk about. I talked briefly in the last show about the U.S. presidents, which will be coming up soon. Some world leaders. Roswell. I could go on and on about Roswell. I'm kind of just holding that back as a teaser because it's going to be awesome. I'm going to talk about the book written by the guy that was there, the first guy the first officer to get to the wreckage. Wrote a book called The Day After Roswell. Fantastic stuff. And I talked about the recent discovery of a planet, TRAPPIST-1, that they found 7 Earth-like planets orbiting the star. Earth-like meaning similar in size, composition, could contain water. And of the 7, 3 are in the habitable or Goldilocks zone. I'm going to talk about ancient artwork. That'll be an upcoming episode. Some of that stuff is amazing. You think about these people from 1,000 years ago, 1,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago, creating this art with these spaceships in the sky with humanoid beings in them. I mean, what is that? What are they doing? What are they thinking? Is this all in their imagination? Or are they drawing what they've seen? Are they drawing an interpretation of what they've seen? I'm going to talk about Mars, potential life on Mars, flowing water, structures. One of my favorites is going to be talking about the moon and the dark side of the moon and possible structures there. Let's not forget about the moon landing, the lost 2 minutes of audio where the astronauts are like, oh my God, they're up on the ridge, they're watching us. And then all of a sudden, boom, goes blank for 2 minutes, comes back, and they're playing golf on the moon. That kind of stuff always happens. We have definitive proof. Oh, wait a minute, that file is missing. Oh, we have a recording of the astronauts saying there's people on the crater watching us. Oh, that 2 minutes has vanished. We don't know what happened. It was a glitch. We don't know what happened to it. I'm going to talk about Majestic 12, Project Blue Book, Bob Lazar. I'll talk about explorers like Christopher Columbus, Rendlesham Forest. I kind of feel like Rendlesham Forest has been overkilled. But it is, the reason it's been overkilled is because it's so compelling. And these 2 military guys, it wasn't just them. They were the 2 that found the ship, the landed ship. But the whole base was on alert. Several nights in a row. This thing flew over. The radar was going nuts. It's such a compelling story with all kinds of evidence. And these 2 guys to this day that stick to this story. And yes, they may have made some money at this point. But I can promise you when this happened in 1982 or whatever it was, and they were putting their careers on the line, telling their commanding officer what happened and what they saw and what they witnessed. They weren't thinking, hey, in 40 years from now, maybe we can make some money off of this story if we just make this story up and stick to it. That really happened. Almost everything I say to you is stuff that actually happened. Now, there could be different versions of what really happened, but something really happened. And it wasn't a weather balloon, and it wasn't swamp gas. So, again, the last time I was talking about Ben Rich was right at the 15-minute mark where my live audience got cut off. But again, he was the former CEO of Lockheed. What I read is Lockheed. Now, this was a long time ago. Maybe since then it's become Lockheed Martin. But maybe back then it was just Lockheed. So I'm just giving that disclaimer. But he admitted, when did he admit it? You guessed it, on his deathbed, that UFOs are real and they heavily influence their work at Lockheed, and that the United States government has technology currently in their possession that is 400 years ahead of our current time. Now, he said this whenever, but still, 400 years ahead. And he said all this technology is tied up in black ops, black operations, and it would take an act of God to get the government to ever release any of this, or the military to ever release any of this. So I'll talk about that. Again, if you guys want, if there's anything you'd like me to talk about, and by the way, there's 10,000 more things I want to talk about, but those are just some ideas that I've jotted down that I wanted to give out to you. If you guys think of anything you'd like me to talk about, please write me on Facebook, Twitter, write me at Andrew at alienmovement.org. Message me on Twitter, message me on Facebook. Please like me on like me on all of them. I would really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Write any comments you want on Facebook. Like me on Spreaker. I've had a ton of downloads. I've been very pleased with how many people have listened to my first 2 podcasts, and this is number 3. And I now have a YouTube channel. And if you're feeling froggy, and if you feel like it, and you want to go to patreon.com and sponsor me for $1 a month, $3 a month, $5 a month, I would really appreciate it, and I'll put the money to good use for the show, to make the show better. So I can't think of anything else to say right now. I really enjoy talking to you guys. When I do just one thing like the Aurora crash, and by the way, if you haven't noticed, I talk really fast because I'm so passionate about this, and maybe I need to slow down, but I don't want to ramble either. So that covers the Aurora crash. I encourage you to read the article. I encourage you to research it. It is a great story, and you read it and you get excited because you're like, oh my God, this really happened. So in closing, one more time, my website is alienmovement.org. Twitter is at alienmovement1, the number 1. Facebook at alienmovement.org. Spreaker.com, search Alien Movement. Patreon.com, search Alien Movement. YouTube, it's a little tricky. If you type Alien Movement, you'll get like 10,000 things. If you sort by channel, I should be at or near the top. Or you can actually search episode name like Alien Movement - The Launch, or - Misunderstood Technology, or - The Aurora Crash. I hope you're having a wonderful night. I really appreciate the support. And since I've been playing around with sound effects, I'm going to close with this sound effect for all of you, and have a fantastic night. Signing off, Andrew Meadows, Alien Movement. Welcome to the movement. There's your sound effect. Good night.